What's up, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to the channel. And as always, before we jump in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single update on your Pittsburgh Steelers. This team continues to grind, continues to evolve, and continues to look for ways to perfect their game. But in Week 7 against the Bengals, something happened that left every Steelers fan shaking their head. A controversial, game-changing play that might have cost Pittsburgh the win. We're going to break it all down. The officiating drama, Aaron Rodgers' visible frustration, and the silver lining that came in the form of Pat Freiermuth's long-awaited breakout. Let's get into it. The Steelers entered Week 7 with a golden opportunity. Take down the Bengals in prime time and strengthen their lead atop the AFC North. Things started perfectly. Pittsburgh jumped out to a 10-0 lead, playing with energy, balance, and confidence. But just as quickly as they built that lead, it began to crumble. 2 turnovers flipped the first half upside down, and suddenly the Steelers trailed 17-10 at halftime. Still, they fought back in the second half, even taking the lead with just over 2 minutes remaining. But Cincinnati marched right down the field, kicked a game-winning field goal, and escaped with the 2-point victory. Now, you could blame the defense for giving up big plays. You could blame the offense for the early turnovers. But one moment stood out above all others, a first-half interception that many are saying never should have counted. Late in the first half, with the Steelers looking to add points before the break, Aaron Rodgers dropped back and fired a back shoulder throw to DK Metcalf. The pass looked clean, and Metcalf appeared to have control. But Bengals corner DJ Turner wrestled the ball away as the two went to the ground. After a brief conversation, the officials ruled it an interception on the field. A huge swing in momentum. And after review, that call somehow stood. But that's where things get messy. NFL analyst Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk later broke down the play and called out what he believed was a serious officiating mistake. "I don't think this is an interception. When you're going to the ground, you have to maintain possession of the ball through the ground. If you bobble it, even slightly, it's not a catch. On that play, I saw a bobble as soon as he hit the white stripe, but the broadcast cut away before we could see the full sequence." Florio pointed out that the replay never showed the complete moment where Turner supposedly secured the ball. In real time, the ball clearly moved as both players hit the turf. If that had been fully reviewed, there's a real chance the call could have been overturned. And you could tell Rodgers knew it. Cameras caught him jawing at the officials, pointing toward the sideline replay monitors, visibly irritated. And he wasn't wrong to be upset. That single call flipped the entire script of the first half. Instead of Pittsburgh possibly adding points before the break, Cincinnati took possession with under a minute remaining and managed to move into field goal range. That's a 6-point swing. And guess what? The Steelers lost the game by 2. If the interception had been overturned or correctly ruled incomplete, the Steelers might have entered halftime tied or leading. Instead, they handed the Bengals all the momentum they needed. And that wasn't the only issue with the refs that night. Steelers fans saw it, the players saw it, even national media noticed how inconsistent the officiating was. Cornerback Joey Porter Jr. was flagged for defensive pass interference on what looked like a textbook clean breakup across the middle. Then on another drive, Jalen Ramsey was clearly shoved to the ground by Jamar Chase, yet somehow the penalty went against Ramsey. At that point, it didn't just feel like bad luck, it felt like a pattern. And Florio wasn't the only one to suggest that the NFL might have an interest in keeping the Bengals relevant for TV ratings and storylines, especially with Joe Burrow's return looming later in the year. Now, whether that's conspiracy or coincidence, we'll let you decide. But it's safe to say the Steelers were on the wrong end of several key decisions all night. Now, let's shift to something positive, because despite the heartbreak, there was a bright spot in this loss. After being nearly invisible through the first 5 games of the season, Pat Freiermuth reminded the world exactly why Steelers fans love him. He led the team with 5 receptions, 111 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown, his best performance of the year. Rodgers looked his way time and time again, especially after the Bengals' defense bottled up DK Metcalf, limiting him to just 3 catches for 50 yards after 2 monster weeks. Freiermuth became Rodgers' go-to target when the team needed a spark, and he delivered. He ran sharp routes, found soft spots in coverage, and fought through tackles, looking like the complete tight end fans have been waiting to see. Now, as great as Freiermuth was, we can't yet say he's officially back. This Steelers offense has been wildly inconsistent from week to week. In Week 4, it was Darnell Washington making the big plays. In Week 5, it was Kenny Gainwell stepping up. In Week 6, Calvin Austin caught the game-winning touchdown. And in Week 7, it was Freiermuth's turn. That kind of production diversity can be good, but it can also be a sign that the offense hasn't found its identity. The chemistry between Rodgers and his receivers still fluctuates, and there's a clear disconnect between play calling and execution. Despite Freiermuth's breakout, the rest of the offense looked disjointed. Communication errors were everywhere. Multiple motions and audibles were missed, players weren't lining up correctly. It wasn't all on Rodgers, though he did look frustrated at times, but the play calling deserves criticism too. Jalen Warren was picking up yards after contact consistently, yet on multiple drives, the team abandoned the run to call risky gadget plays and force passes that stalled possessions. It's as if the Steelers outthink themselves at critical moments. That inconsistency has been a recurring problem, and unless they fix it, it's going to be hard for anyone besides DK Metcalf to stand out week to week in this offense. Mike Tomlin's squads have been through this song and dance before. Poor scheming, poor execution, and a stubborn refusal to adjust. But this time, the story flipped. The offense, for once, looked efficient and sharp under Aaron Rodgers' command. But the defense completely fell apart. The Bengals ran wild, and Pittsburgh's supposedly elite unit looked lost, confused, and reactionary. It's one thing to lose a game because of effort or injury, but it's another thing entirely when the defense just lets an opponent do whatever they want. Cincinnati didn't just move the ball, they dictated the entire tempo, exposing the same old problems that have haunted this team for years. Missed tackles, poor gap control, zero adjustment mid-game.
After the game, insider Mark Kaboly didn't mince words. He said what many fans were thinking. I can accept it if it's popcorn, like Tomlin calls it, but it's not. This defensive inconsistency, including continued problems stopping the run, makes it simple to hit that panic button because it happens so much. Seriously, how many times have you heard about getting out of our gaps and gap integrity over the past decade? Way too much. Kaboly nailed it. This isn't new. It's the same defensive issues recycled every season. Against the league's worst rushing attack, Pittsburgh allowed a shocking 153 yards on the ground, 20 carries, not counting Joe Flacco's kneel-downs. Chase Brown alone averaged nearly 10 yards per carry. 10! It's the kind of stat line that makes even the most die-hard fans groan in disbelief. And as if that wasn't enough, the Bengals lit up the secondary too. They beat Pittsburgh using the same blueprint the Steelers had successfully used themselves just a week earlier. The difference? Cincinnati adjusted mid-game. Pittsburgh didn't. That's the painful truth. You can't give up 470 total yards in a divisional matchup and expect to compete at a championship level, especially against a team that knows your tendencies as well as the Bengals do. When that happens, the excuses don't matter. The narrative doesn't change. The national media starts calling it same old Steelers football. Great roster, big names, but inconsistent coaching and execution when it matters most. Even with Aaron Rodgers playing sharp, even with the offense clicking, the defense managed to make fans wonder if anything has truly changed. And let's be honest, this has become the most frustrating part for fans. It's not about the individual players anymore. It's about the pattern, the common denominator. And yes, it always comes back to the same place, Mike Tomlin's defensive philosophy. Now, to be fair, some of you are already calling for defensive coordinator Terrell Austin to be fired. But let's get real. Even if Austin is the one calling plays, this is still Tomlin's defense. Always has been, always will be. As Kaboly pointed out, these issues, missed gaps, poor adjustments, inconsistent tackling have been discussed for nearly a decade. So, firing Austin might make headlines, but will it really solve the problem? That's the million-dollar question. Austin's contract is expiring, which makes him an easy scapegoat if things don't turn around. But deep down, fans know that the real issue is systemic. It's philosophical. It's the stubborn refusal to evolve defensively while the rest of the league moves forward. Mike Tomlin is a motivator, no doubt, a leader of men. He commands respect in the locker room and always gets his players to buy in. But when it comes to X's and O's, especially on the defensive side, many fans believe his loyalty to outdated concepts keeps holding the team back. His bend but don't break approach turns into bend until something snaps far too often. This latest loss feels like a rerun. Every season, there's that one game where fans start wondering, are we really doing this again? Poor run defense, no in-game adjustment, defensive breakdowns in key moments. You've seen it against the Raiders, the Browns, the Texans, and now the Bengals. It's the same cycle on repeat. And that's why hitting the panic button has become second nature for Steelers Nation. It's not about overreacting, it's about recognition. Fans have seen this movie before, and they know exactly how it ends. A strong finish to make the playoffs, maybe even a wild card win, but eventually the defense collapses against a top-tier offense. Same story, different year. Still, it doesn't have to be this way. The Steelers can fix it. The talent is there. T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Jalen Ramsey, and Minkah Fitzpatrick are elite players capable of dominating any opponent. But elite players can only do so much when the scheme and preparation don't put them in position to succeed. If this team wants a deep postseason run again, if they want to silence the critics once and for all, it's going to take accountability and adaptation on the coaching side. So, what did we learn from this game? 1. Officiating absolutely impacted the outcome. The DJ Turner interception call was questionable at best, and the NFL owes fans a clearer explanation when a replay review decides such a critical moment. 2. The Steelers' defense must step up. You can't rely on the offense to bail you out every week. The lack of takeaways and the inability to stop the Bengals' run game were glaring issues. And 3. Pat Freiermuth is alive and well. His connection with Rodgers might just be the boost this offense needs heading into the second half of the season, but it has to be consistent. 4. Mike Tomlin's group needs discipline and cohesion. Execution errors, poor communication, and questionable situational decisions keep holding this team back from greatness. So, Steelers Nation, it's okay to be frustrated. This loss hurt. Not just because of the score, but because it felt like the officials took away a win that Pittsburgh earned on the field. The team didn't play perfectly, but the turning point was clear. That overturned, or rather, unoverturned interception changed the entire flow of the game. And yet, amidst all the chaos, Pat Freiermuth gave us something to believe in again. A reminder that this team still has heart, leadership, and playmakers who refuse to back down. So, what do you think, Steelers fans? Did the refs cost us that game? And do you think Pat Freiermuth is officially back as one of Rodgers' top weapons? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear what you think. And as always, if you love this kind of breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We'll be right here after every game, breaking it all down for the best fan base in football. Here we go, Steelers Nation.